Hi guys, welcome back. So today we'll be doing about Mrs. Bector's food specialities. As we go on about the result, I think by now all of you are accustomed to the way I talk. So first, we will just talk about the business model in a very crisp and very short way, right? So first, let us understand what Mrs. Bector's food does, right? Mrs. Bector's food does biscuits and buns, as simple as that, right? सिर्फ एक biscuit और bun बनाते हैं. And I think if you're somebody who's from the north of India, especially if you're from someone in the Delhi NCR region, I think you would be fairly, accustomed to this brand. You know about this brand, right? So they have two brands. Okay, one is Cremica and one is English Oven. In Cremica, they manufacture their own biscuits, right? And this contributes around 60% to their top line. And English Oven, that is that they make all this bread, buns, and the pizza bases. There are different kinds of bakery products you can imagine, right? In terms of like breads and buns and all those categories, they make that, and it contributes around 36% to their top line. And when you talk about English Oven, see, when you talk about this biscuit, it is completely retail. They make and they send it to common people, right? They sell it in the normal stores and different kind of retail outlets. When you talk about English Oven, there are two kinds here also. One they're sending it to the again same retail chains. The other one, they also send it. They have contracts with various QSRs. One such QSR is Subway and KFC. They supply their that big what is that, a length foot sub, and of course the KFC buns also. So, and the other is they also do they also do contract manufacturing to Mondelez. So Mondelez is, I think, you all must have at least tried Oreos and the Chocofills, Cadbury's ka jo aata hai, right? So these people do the contract manufacturing also for Cadbury's, but the contribution of this to the revenue is hardly anything. It's insignificant. It hardly contributes 4% to the revenue. So this is the business model. This is what they do, right? Now, if you come and if you see the result, right, you see that the top line, right, or top line has grown by 24%. The bottom line that you see, it has got a huge expansion, right? You would see that the PAT has grown by 174%. And not just that, in terms of all kind of margins, if you have to see, you will see that the PAT margins also has seen a huge expansion from 4 to 9%, 9.3%, as well as the EBITDA margin has improved from 12.2 to 15.5% on a year-on-year basis. All of these metrics, right? So you see on all metrics, it has performed well, right? Now, why is that so? Because if you see, if you go back and see when it came during IPO, it didn't perform well. But now you see, it is performing really well, right? Now, the reason was when it came during the IPO, right, there was the rate and pace of growth was hardly any. But right now, you're seeing an unbelievable rate of pace, not just the rate of growth, whereas the pace of growth also. The main reason for that is, see, whenever you talk about a consumption business, right, what do I usually tell in consumption business? You need two things. One is you need the volume. The second is you need the value. You need both of these things, right? And when you find both, it is an ideal combination. Like I told you, the top line grew by 24 to 25%, right? In this 24 to 25%, you will see that 20% came from volume growth, right? And the other 5 to 6% came from value growth. Value growth is nothing but price. And you understand here, right? Volume growth is an important play because you're talking about a biscuit, right? You're talking about biscuit and buns. And if you increase the rate also at the end of the day, like, what happens? And people will start getting another brands because there are a lot of brands out there, right? So that is where the whole game comes. The whole game comes in the volume growth. Not just that, if you see the individual, how do I tell you, the individual lines also, whether it is bakery segment or your biscuit segment, both of them also have grown decently well, right? If you see, the biscuit segment has grown by 25% on a year-on-year basis, so has a bakery segment grown by 26% on a year-on-year basis. Now, why are we seeing this kind of volume growth, this kind of value growth, right? The answer is simple, right? Any kind of consumption business, if they're doing these three things: distribution, increasing the distribution, introducing new product lines, or there is a mix happening, introducing either new products or change in their product mix, right? Or either in terms of premiumization, the product mix is changing. If all of these three are happening at the same time, you hit all points that are needed. Distribution business is nothing but आपका volume growth, right? Volume growth कैसे आते हैं? What is volume growth? Basically, you have to sell more of your biscuits, like more units of your biscuits, right? So how will you sell this more number of biscuits? You have to set up distribution, right? You have to be there at every goddamn retail stores, every kind of stores that is there, e-commerce, big basket, that, this, all of it. This is how the volume growth comes in. If you see a company talking about distribution, like increasing their distribution business, increasing the outlets, this is a sign that volume growth, if they're able to execute this is where the volume growth comes. And if you see, I think I don't remember which quarter in FY20 in con call this was said, but in FY20 in one of the con calls I had mentioned, that they want to reach 3.25 lakh outlets, right? 3.25 lakh outlets. Outlets are nothing but the stores, right? Different kinds of stores, large, all the supermarkets, different chota shops, and all of those things. So right now they're already at 2.25 lakh outlets. Can you imagine? Just actually they are way ahead of their target right now. And by the end of the year, they will finish that 3.25 lakh target easily, right? So that is where the volume growth is coming. Volume growth is coming by increasing the distribution lines, right? The second thing that comes is a value growth. Now, how is this value growth coming? Value growth is coming by introduction of new product line and premiumization. Premiumization का मतलब क्या है यहाँ पे? You see, right? If you have a Parle G biscuit, या Mari biscuit, it has a bit it again, it costs less, right? So it even also margins also will be less. Premiumization here comes in the form that the more product shift, the product mix, you have higher amount of your revenue in your biscuit segment coming from these cream biscuits, because cream biscuits में thoda margin zyada होता है, right? So here that is what you're seeing. The entire play is happening here because the whole shift is going from normal biscuits to more and more to this cream biscuits, and all that bourbon and all the other those kind of biscuits, and of course introduction of new products as you speak, right? This is the whole game changer for Bector, distribution line, product mix, and of course premiumization in their own product line. Just three things which is giving a boost to the entire portfolio, right? That is one thing. And talking about in the bakery segment also, if you see like I told you, right, they're doing both. One is the QSR ka thing. They supply to QSR as well as to retail also. And in QSR also, what they're doing is, they are trying to supply these desserts, like these desert jars you get these days, those kind of desert jars and brownies to the QSR also, along with your normal buns and breads. Not only that, even in that segment also, they want to introduce this QSRs and sorry, not QSRs, the desert jars and brownies to the in the retail section also. So that is one of the things that they're planning to do, right? So, and it's really fascinating, because this business, if you see, it was started by Rajni Bector, and she was a normal housewife. From being a housewife today, her company is, creating so much wealth for shareholders. So it's really incredible, to see how the company has started and where it is going. Now, coming back, like I told you, see, the entire crux of this is this. Even if you see in terms of market share also, of course, right, agar aap distribution kar rahe ho, volume growth itna बढ़ रहा है, of course, आपका market share भी increase होगा. So if you see in terms of market share also, it has increased like from 4 to 4.5% in terms of northern India. Like if you see in Bihar, Rajasthan, Delhi, all of these places is where they're very they have a good hold in the market. And overall India, if you see, I think it has increased from 1.1 to 1.9. I think in that range. The numbers, there might be here and there points to what I'm telling, but it's around in that range also, right? Other than that, if you see, like I told you, right, it clears the first part of the checklist where I talk about the top line, the bottom line. In terms of top line, also volume and value growth is there, right? Boom, 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 click, 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 right? And then in terms of in terms of the other thing is demand also. See, the demand for these kind of bakery products will not go down, right? Because as you know, nobody is going to stop eating biscuits. It all comes down to how fast you can set up the distribution line, how fast you can execute your volume growth and everything. The only problem, here that can happen. You might ask me also like, oh, if that's the case, why not Britannia? Because Britannia also has set up the distribution line and everything. The problem with Britannia is the fact that, there's no problem. It's the fact that Britannia is so huge. The size is so huge, the size becomes enemy. It is not possible to go to, for Britannia to grow in those days like it did, like 30% of growth, right? Britannia used to grow at that time. Britannia used to be like Bector in those days, right? It was a very small company, setting up distribution line, growing to new regions, right? That is how it was. Right now, Bector is doing the same thing that Britannia did once upon a time. Bector is basically the mini version of Britannia, as to say, right? It's what Britannia did 30 years ago, 20 years ago, that is what Bector is doing right now. So like I told you, right, the demand for this is, again, of course, the demand, there is no problem in terms of demand here. In fact, as you see, it is getting very easier for them. See, the reason all these people are, venturing into new products, like if I told you, right, in their bakery segment, they're trying to introduce this new desert jars, new brownies and everything. Why is that so? Because see, today, as we talk about, we have accessibility to a lot of things, right? Like I can sit at the comfort of my home and order some Thai cuisine, and our taste palette palate is improving, right? Because we are getting accustomed to modern cuisines. We have a lot of exposure to all of this, and this comes, of course, right, with increase in disposable income. This comes as a result. That is the reason you see all of these companies, are able to, go there, set up their distribution line, go ahead, and start all of these things. The other thing that comes is, of course, capex, right? Because if you are planning to go into different areas, because right now they are, very well versed in areas like northern regions, and they're trying to set up and go down to in the south and in the western markets also to get the same kind of hold. Now, if you have to go into these kind of segments, of course, you have to do capex, right? Because you have to increase, because एक plant जो है, there is a limit up to what capacity it can do at the end of the day. So when the demand is there so much, you also need to do your capex plans also, right, to cater to this demand. So even if you see here also, right, the capex they're doing is phenomenal, right? If you see the capacity expansion that they're doing, yeah, they in the year, I think 2 years combined, that is both FY24 and FY25, they're spending around 350 to 400 crore. That is a range of money that they're spending in capacity, like in expanding the capacity and in the whole capex. Out of this 350 to 400 crore, 225 crores will be spent in this year only. That is in FY24 only. It will be spent. Okay. And you can see, one second. Yeah. So where are they setting up this liners? So in this year, there will be two lines. One is they're setting up two new biscuit ka line at their Rajpur plant. Okay. And this is going to cost them 75 crores, and it will be operational by Q2 FY24. Or for bakery, what is it? They're setting up a plant in NCR, right? In that NCR place they're setting up, and it is going to cost them around 32 to 33 crores, and this will be operational by Q3 of this year. So of course, right, this will again start contributing to the revenue, right? The other thing is, in the next year, they've already started the work. Next year they're going to do it will be completed in next year, that is in FY24-25, that year. They're setting up another biscuit line in Madhya Pradesh, and another bakery plant to their existing factory. There is an existing factory in Maharashtra. Adjacent to that, they're creating another bakery factory, and this will also be completed by Q3, FY24, FY25, in that during that time. So this is what they're doing also. So overall, all in all, you can see that there is nothing to complain in terms of Bector. Excellent, great set of numbers. The guidance is also great. Outlook is also great, right? And see, in terms of consumption business, it's very easy, right? You don't have to break your head to understand the business model. क्या ही बेचता है, biscuit बेचता है, right? But the problem is, people don't take these kind of easy, simple business models that are there right in front of our eyes, very seriously. So coming back, wrapping it all up. See, at the end of the day, if you find a consumption business that is able to do, a double-digit volume growth, just like how Bector is doing, 20% growth, right, and is able to get a decent kind of value growth also from that, right? Like I told you, 5 to 6% hike, is having an improving ROE, right? The ROE is improving as you speak, right? And of course, in terms of profitability metrics, all kind of margins expansion is happening. Capacity expansion ho raha hai. Demand outlook be great hai. There is good tailwind supporting this business. Then that's it. You just hit a recipe for multi-bagger. That's as simple as that. These are the few metrics that you have to see, to analyze a consumption business. That's that. And after that, all you have to do is, this is the few metrics you can see for those businesses to clear your checklist. After that, all you have to see is, make sure that all you have to see and make sure is that, the company is able to execute it, right? This can happen, but as we speak, it is very important for us to, all that matters is if the company is able to execute what they told. And you can see, right, very well what is happening with Bector. Distribution lines, volume growth aa raha hai, change in product mix, moving from all this plain biscuits to going to all this cream products and everything. वहाँ पे premiumization और product mix भी change भी हो रहा है, right? And वहाँ पे capacity का भी expansion हो रहा है. That is where you're going to cater, cater to the that is just an indication that the demand is going forward, right? That's it. It's as simple as that. There's nothing to break head. This is similar to exactly what Varun Beverages did, right? Varun Beverages also did the same thing. Volume growth aaya kaise, distribution se. I think they were not there in West market and some other market. I think they were not there in these two markets, and they started expanding the distribution there. Wahan se volume growth aaya. Value growth or kahan se aaya? Change in product mix. Sting was the game changer for them, right? They introduced Sting, in that they changed the whole product portfolio with Sting. And of course, Sting was also placed at that they introduced a 20 rupees per bottle, from which their product mix changed. Wahan se growth aaya, right? That's how, and that was a reason why Varun Beverages became Varun Beverages, or it became a multi-bagger for same. The same kind of story is playing out here, even in terms of Bector. So yeah, that's that about Bector Food, Mrs. Bector's Food Specialities. So yeah, I hope I don't know. So I hope y'all could understand what. Yeah, I just hope it was a great thing. Yeah. Anyways, see ya next time. Take care. Bye bye.